So, Sam, should we move on to our good friend Jimmy Dore? I would like to
Sure,
say
sure. Our last story.
our former friend Cenk Uygur, no, still friend of ours, and Anna
Well, to be
Kasparian.
fair, we don't know any of these people. They don't
I'm
know.
friends with
They
all
don't
of
know
them.
we
Okay,
exist.
of course they do. I'm gonna comment in the
Yes.
videos after this.
Sure, sure. Uh,
Send comments. But okay, so did you see he made another video? Jimmy Dore made another video just accusing Cenk and the Young Turks of a bunch of things. So there are really three things I wanted to talk about that I found interesting. One is that he points out that are new, right? Because some of the other ones are like, Cenk was first for it. Why did he change his opinion like this? Then there's all the money that he's received. And we're going to talk about the money that he's received at the end of this video. We're going to go over some of the comments that were left on our last Jimmy Dore video. So we're just going to look at those. But some of the new stuff that I saw that were interesting in this video. So the first one that I want to start with is this hilarious Anna Kasparian tweet. So I'll just read it out for everyone.
mhm.
So this is of course about the Medicare for all debate and forced to vote and blah blah. So Anna Kasparian, after of course saying that this is not a good idea and all this and being on Cenk's side, she had tweeted that that said, okay, so with that said, there's an extra there in there. With that said, pressuring politicians to actually represent us is the right thing to do. I just question his intentions and for good reason. Even a broken clock, etc., etc. So she's saying that his broken clock is right twice a day and all that, blah blah blah. But I mean, this tweet, I can't believe she sent this out. So you made this whole thing, opposed this, this whole idea, not because you don't think it's a good idea. You actually still think that it's a good idea, but because you question his motives. I mean. Let me
Sure,
tell you a
sure.
few other interesting, funny things that happened in the video. So one is that, like, Jimmy points out that, like, Cenk is being very hypocritical, saying that, he's, like, angry and shouting, where Cenk himself is kind of known, and there's so
Oh
many
yeah,
videos
yeah,
of
yeah.
him
That
going
was a fair
crazy.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he also points out, like, how, it was, like, 10 months ago, and Cenk recorded this himself, but they were, like, the plane was delayed by 3 to 4 hours or something, and Cenk goes, like, full Cenk, At the same time, I kind of understand him. You get frustrated, but then there's this guy in this video that has like such a good heart. I mean, I wish I was like this video. He's telling Cenk, "Come on, man, how would you feel it if you were trying to do your job and someone's shouting at you?" I was
Happens to get the flight here. I mean, if
But, all right, sir, if your job was to do your job and someone came to you and said, "Sir, your job, you're shitty. I don't like your job. You're doing terrible." Would you not say, "Bro, I know how to do my job. Don't try me." You would defend yourself.
my brother, people say that I do a shitty job every day. Thousands of them do every day.
That's not a good thing, bro.
It's like, you're a good person, because I can see after how 3 or 4 hours, fine, you don't have to go full Cenk crazy, but
He did
it
say
gets
he was
heated when you're
hungry,
waiting for a
so
plane and stuff. Sorry.
he did say he was hungry at the time. So
So
he
I think
mentioned
someone
it like
pointed
4
out in the
times.
comment section that Cenk is always hungry or something.
He mentioned it 4 times that I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm hungry.
I feel like he knew. Like, yeah, I don't think he could control himself. Like, he just looks like.
Well,
So
to be honest, though, all of this is all of this is, margin. It's just mudslinging and
No,
stuff.
this is no big deal. This
I
is
really wish they
nothing.
talked
Yeah,
about real issues.
yeah, no, 100%.
No, but
This, yeah.
because they keep accusing Jimmy Dore of this, then he has to respond, and it's all just becomes it's just bullshit. Yeah, bullshit.
No, it's definitely ridiculous. But, fun to talk about, and there's, some good things in
Sure.
there. So the last thing, now this one, I mean, Jimmy is 100% right. So he's been saying this a lot, that, TYT have been smearing Julian Assange. And so he points out to a few things. So first he pointed out how, with the whole Russiagate and everything during that time, Cenk, there's video of him while he was doing the show. He's like, I can't really trust Julian Assange now. What if he's like withholding information that will be good for Hillary, but putting out stuff that are good for Trump? So he just kind of started undermining him and, like, where he would sit and all this debate. But then there's the other video that they show where Anna Kasparian is kind of going through some comments recently, and someone asked her, have you heard about Julian Assange? So Julian Assange recently got a really big court victory. And she was like, I'll look into it, as if someone is mentioning something obscure. But they finally did a 10 to 15 minute section on the fact that Julian Assange, so first a week ago, the court ruled that he can't be extradited to the United States, and the only reason that the judge gave was the fact that, you know, he could possibly commit suicide in American prisons and they can't guarantee his health. But then after that, 2 days later, he was unfortunately denied bail, so he's still stuck in prison as long as the U.S. is appealing the case. So that's kind of the gist of it. We made another video about this. We'll link it in the description box if you just want to get like the details and some of the reactions, and the UN saying how Julian Assange was tortured this whole time and everything. But then, okay, so Anna Kasparian is covering this video. The length is 10 minutes. It sounds good, but I was just really disappointed about her coverage. So very, very matter of factly, she kind of just reads, you know, this is what happened, he's free, you know, no kind of emotions that other people are perhaps showing as, you know, this victory for Julian Assange. But that's fine. But that's fine. Sure. Exactly. That's fine. But this is what really got to me, is that she just said that, okay, so the court and the judge said that, yeah, you cannot be extradited to the United States because the prisons are not good. And then the rest of the video, the rest 7 minutes of the video, she was joined by this other host, this lady, and she often talks about African American issues and domestic problems, right? So I was like, I know what she talks about, so I was kind of surprised that she was there. So from there on, they just shifted the conversation just about the U.S. prison system.
Not unsubstantiated, claims, and people are constantly just being driven by social media emotionally. And it's interesting to hear other countries' take on our prison system in this country. I mean, the light has been, the light is on us now. I mean, George Floyd, which people think was some kind of revolutionary thing that really showed us, but it really just showed a lot of others what we have known for a very long time, where another country is stepping in to protect this white man to say, we're not sending him back because we know what could happen to him if he goes to this horrific place. Just imagine all the black men and women and people of color who are in this prison system. But, the other thing is that we just have lost our way in terms of really holding our own government accountable for what they do. And how could we honestly call ourselves patriots and say that we love this country when we can't really hold them accountable for what they do? It's become this celebrity worship when it comes to our government. And it's just gross. I mean, I've said that word once before on the show. It's just horrible to look at the fact that how dirty this government has gotten. It's just dirty. It's operating in street business. You prosecute black people and brown people constantly for behaving this way.
And the rest 7 minutes of the video, nothing about, that the judge didn't say anything about the freedom of speech, that the judge has agreed with everything, all the accusations that have been made by the United States. So she didn't mention any of this, and it just became this conversation about US prison is not good, and then it just became about people in the US getting locked up in prison and all this. And so I just found their coverage to be, they just found one thing that kind of agrees and goes with their narrative, but completely leaving out everything else. So it was just really, really disappointing coverage of them, I thought.
Yeah, their coverage of Russia Gate, Julian Assange case, all of it has been extremely disappointing. And I think they may have developed sort of a resistance to the story, like they kind of out of spite, they don't want to kind of cover it because it highlights their previously largely ineffective coverage of the whole issue by them. And there was more expectation from them, considering that they claim constantly to be and they are in some measures the biggest progressive news network within America. but they rather focus on mean tweets towards Washington Post, writers
Yeah.
than Julian Assange literally, being potentially threatened with a death
I mean, the
penalty.
way they were
So,
talking
yeah.
about it, the way they were talking about it, you could like remove Julian Assange and put like some kind of random criminal in there. Like the conversation went like just that far. It kind of
Yeah,
had
the focus-
nothing to do.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen the video,
Yeah.
so I don't want to judge, but I assume what you're saying is that it focused on the faults of like
Yeah,
the
it wasn't- yeah.
the prison system and the safety issues and all.
And I mentioned this in another video too, but I mean, thank God that the judge decided not to extradite him, and he's in terrible health condition and all this. But the way that sometimes even in Young Turks, the way when they were talking about the fact that he's suicidal perhaps, and he's in like bad mental health and all this was talked about without context, as if he's randomly he's tired of this life, or he can't he's like Epstein, and he can't continue to do whatever perverted
to be
and
honest,
horrible
Epstein
things.
was clearly
Yeah.
murdered.
Yeah,
I'm
I think it was
sorry.
murdered, sure, but I mean, it's just like why would
Yeah,
Julian
not-
Assange be
they
sad?
can't-
There's a whole reason why, like I mentioned, the UN has said how he's been tortured for 10 years. He's just not randomly like feeling down.
Yeah, I understand. They don't emphasize the context of his of his mental issues.
So I mean,
yeah,
on
but
this point, I
yeah,
must say their coverage was really, really, really bad. Like, I mean, literally mainstream news level of coverage, or not better, and kind of made
I
me
mean,
think
to be
of.
fair, mainstream they don't even cover
Well,
it.
we
So,
talked about France 24 and DW last week,
Oh,
and
no. Yeah.
yeah,
fair
but
enough,
in the
fair enough.
States, yeah, 100% American mainstream news, they definitely don't cover it, so they're not any better. But I mean, have to agree with Jimmy Dore here, especially. I mean, pretty much they've been smearing Julian Assange's name in their coverage. I mean, it was really bad and disappointing. And then you just reminded me of one thing though, about how Young Turks are like the biggest progressive voice out there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, their channel and everything is huge. And they have 5 million followers now. And Jimmy Dore is pointing out how some of their live videos really don't get that many views. But I don't think that's because they've bought any of their subscriptions or anything like that. It's just that they've been around for so long that they're just piling up. And some people, probably don't even remember who the Young
To be
Turks
honest,
are.
I think I'm still a subscriber, but I never go on their lives. Yeah, you stay around long enough, and, people forget to unsubscribe. So yeah.
But just so we don't spend our whole day saying bad stuff about the Young Turks, you should go check out their video. I've watched this one like at least 3 times. It's with Anna and 2 other guests, and they talk about the whole girl in the hotel who just went insane with her mobile phone and everything in New York. They had a really good segment on it. It's gone like 500,000 views so far. I'm responsible for like 3,000 or 4,000 of those views, but yeah. But okay, Sam, so I was thinking we wrap up today's episode by just looking at some of the comments that people left for us in our last Jimmy Dore video.
Yeah, sure. And by the way, somebody left a great comment explaining exactly how does the voting system for the election of the Speaker of the House works. Thanks for that. Apparently, it's simple majority, but the progressive could have voted for somebody else, and then that way they would have avoided either McCarthy or Pelosi to gaining simple majority. So thanks for that explanation. And I forgot the handle of the user because it was a bit hard for me. But again, thanks for everybody. Just we should do more of our homework, to be honest. But yeah, whenever we don't, please help.
Yeah, no, 100%. So it's by Ewald Bracco, and he shared pretty much sources with us and everything, explaining how it would have gone.
Yeah, that was great. The PDF for the frequently asked question and all that. Thanks so much.
Very nice and concise PDF too. I was like, okay. It was like 3 pages, quick answers, really, really good. Okay, someone else just posted this. I hadn't even seen this one. They're like a channel named Spar&Brawl that is concerned with tone. Not a very compelling start, fellas.
That's a good point,
he has a
actually.
point. And honestly, they've kind of, since last week, I've been more, I mean, not that I had a problem with his tone really that much. You were just saying a bit that someone always
That was
shouting
me.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, is maybe you think that it's not always productive, but
No, no, I don't even mind. I
touche
think it's
there.
productive. No, no, it's productive. It's just I can't listen to it for a long time. I get annoyed.
No.
But yeah, fair point though. I really didn't think about that. The name does invite
Yeah.
some challenge. So yeah, fair enough. Fair
No,
enough.
totally
But
true. Christian
Spar&Brawl
Cafiero.
in a very kind way.
Yeah.
In a Christian, in a Jesus way. Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, his anger right now, this one, I'm completely fine with listening because it's not so crazy. When Bernie Sanders dropped out during that time,
yeah.
it was unreal. Like I remember during that time, I didn't listen to him for a few weeks. I think then it was just a bit hard. But okay, let's keep on going. Kirk2112 said that Cenk is simply upset that he got exposed and he's seeing his gravy train crumble at the feet of a pothead comedian in his garage.
It's a bit harsh, but
Yeah.
no, yeah.
And I
I'm
think
sure.
he's still got.
I think they disagree on a strategy, and Cenk is somebody who doesn't want to admit he was wrong. So
Yeah.
I think that's a bit too much. I think I don't know.
Yep, another one here. John P saying Team Jimmy all day, every day. Okay, go Jimmy.
Oh, tell us what you really think.
The next one is Cenk is an excuse-making neoliberal.
All right.
Not too sure. And then there's pretty much this whole comment by IGT about his tone and saying that, if you're not forceful and if you don't make yourself heard. So it says here at the end, I'm Chilean and haven't seen a policy taken that were positive to the people without protests, public displays of anger. And he specifies non-violent means are valid tools. And no, that's definitely true.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And that's what I mean by, I think it's definitely productive. It's just something I can't deal with easily. But yeah, it's definitely far more productive than asking nicely, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, Jimmy has turned this whole thing. It's been like 6 weeks now that they've been talking about this. He single-handedly pretty much brought. I mean, it was 100% his idea. And so there's another comment that I wanted to get to where I was replying to it, and someone called me naive. So let me bring that up. That was from another Jimmy video. And finally here we have Stacey E, who says tone policing and a lack of fight are why the left never gets anything for their vote.
I agree.
Again.
I agree.
Fair enough. Okay, let's get, some other comments here. So this one I found interesting. So again, they started talking about the 20 million that they've raised and all that. And someone was saying that if this came from an investment company, so this wasn't given as a donation. So usually if you receive 20 million, right? Pretty much, then if you, let's say, evaluate your company at $20 million, that means you've usually given 100% of ownership of your company to that, to those investors. So
I really don't. I didn't research this as well, but I really need to research the ownership of TYT and see how does it work.
So that's
but
interesting.
I guess maybe you make a deal for investment and advert. I don't really know. Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I would assume, because then the person is saying either they gave away a huge chunk of the Young Turks, or the Young Turks is valued at, I don't know, like $200 million or something, or more, even 50 million. That means you would have given away like 40% of the company. And then the person refers to, if I'm mistaken, to Shark Tank and all that. And that's where I've also seen it, that whenever they make an investment, so if your company is valued 100,000 and someone invests 25,000, that means you give them 25% of your company.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it depends on how you value.
Exactly. Yeah. So then I told them, well, what if some of the money was given as donation? And they said that sounds very naive regarding the donors.
All right.
So possibly.
It's possible though. Like I mean, Intercept wasn't always shit before Russiagate and all that, and that was funded by basically money from Pierre Omidyar, who's a billionaire, and I don't think he would have agreed with most of their coverage. Some billionaires, some rich corporations do, sometimes for tax reasons, sometimes because of eccentricities, do these type of things. So it's possible, but yeah, I agree that it's unlikely.
Yeah. No, I mean, this definitely seems like, I mean, for instance, the Intercept, the way it started, you could tell, like, there was a kind of cause behind it and how it started. So I can see that. But here, I mean, if you look at the people who gave the 20 million, they seem like they're straight up in there for business. And they're, So I'm just gonna find one thing. Okay, so, and just to wrap this up, so we kept on talking about, is it true that they got 20 million from the Clintons and blah, blah, blah. So from what I understand, that comes from what we've just been talking about. So this Business Insider article is from 2017, and it says that the firm's 3L Capital, Graycroft and E Ventures and W and Crow, whatever, which is led by the business executive and Democratic Party kingmaker Jeffrey Katzenberg. So this is the relation, I guess, where the Clinton comes from, will invest 20 million in the progressive media company, which for a decade has live streamed hours of video content with a progressive perspective. So basically, apparently Jeffrey Katzenberg, which I wasn't familiar before this, he's a big, I guess, some kind of donor. He's involved in the Democratic Party. So I think this is why they say that, it's the Clintons who have given him 20 million.
I see. I mean, that's a name Jimmy mentioned in some of his videos.
Exactly. So I think that's it. If we're wrong, people, please correct us. You seem to know more than us. But yeah, okay, all right. I think that's it for today, Sam. Any final words, or should we call it a day?
No, let's call it a day. Thanks for listening, and hopefully watch our content. Like,
definitely
subscribe. I mean, come on. What you got to lose?
Exactly what Sam said. Okay, thank you very much, and see you in our next video.
Take care. Bye.